Hey guys, Miles here, and this is going to be a demonstration on what's called in Flash classic tweening. Here we go. So start off, frame 1, blank keyframe. Go ahead and make a drawing of something here. And convert it to a symbol. Modify, convert to symbol. Alright, you make sure it's type movie clip. You might want to change the registration to center registration. That's not a bad idea. And say OK. And now we've got this guy here. He's been converted to a symbol. We can tell that by the classic blue box around him, which you all recognize from your symbol library stuff you've been doing. So now instead of going in and adding more blank keyframes, I'm just going to jump out here to frame 30. Right-click on it. Choose Insert Keyframe. It's going to make a copy of that keyframe on frame 30. I'm going to jump back to frame 1. Right-click on frame 1. Choose Create Classic Tween. This turns blue and turns into an arrow. Jump out here to frame 30. Move this guy over here and watch the magic. That's lovely. Now notice that my frame rate was set to 12 frames per second already, so and you can set that as a default if you go up here to Modify, Document, Document Settings. You can set your width and height, and you can set your frame rate here and say Make Default right here. So that is tweening animation at its simplest. If I go here to frame 30, notice, and I move my guy somewhere else, the animation updates to reflect that change. I could go to frame 1, move that over here. Now, if he moves farther in the same amount of space, he's going to move faster. So the farther he moves in the same amount of time, the faster the animation will be. And just so you know, 12 frames per second is a pretty low frame rate. Video, by default, operates at 30 frames per second, and film operates at 24 frames per second. So those higher frame rates will give a much smoother sense of motion on something like a pan or just a quick travel like that. It'll kind of strobe at 12 frames per second. But again, we'll live with that. No worries for right now to get the idea down. So that's tweening animation at its simplest. Now if we do delete that layer. A couple other things just to point out here. I've gone to frame 30. If I hit Q to get my scale and rotation, I can scale this, and the scaling also tweens. And I can rotate it, and the rotation also tweens. So that's a quick introduction to classic tweening.